Hello and welcome to Inside the Burrow, the FAU podcast for and by fans. My name is Dan, and I am joined with Shane and Jack this week. And we were hoping that this podcast was going to be a bit brighter. No pun intended for my bad lighting. Sorry about that, guys. A little bit brighter topic, and it wasn't. FAU was really manhandled by UCF. But I think we'll get into the game and really we'll get into the game and kind of talk about how disappointing that was. But I want to start off, and I don't think I've ever felt this strongly about anything before, about just how unprepared, ill-prepared, just FAU falling face first on the operations of the game. I have never in my 14 years of fandom, I've probably missed maybe 5 games at most on 5 home games at most. And this was the most disappointed, most, I'm not going to say angry, but upset that I've ever been. There's no excuse for the long lines that there were getting into the game. There's no excuse for having 2 concession stand people working it. They knew it was going to be a sellout. And at this point, I'm kind of done giving FAU passes here. Yeah, I know this is Brian White's first big game, but honestly, I'm done. This has happened every single year since the stadium opened and we played against Western Kentucky, and people didn't get into the stadium until the second quarter because they had to wait in line for a metal detector that didn't work. And I'm done giving FAU passes for this. If we want to be considered, not necessarily part of the big boys, but a professional organization, something that people enjoy going to, it was put up or shut up. I mean, that yesterday was the day that could have happened, and we just didn't. It was a disaster, and that's how I'll start, and I'll end it there before I get too impassioned and we have to edit the show. But I don't know. I mean, Shane, you and I were talking about this. What was one or two of the things that kind of were bothersome to you, I guess?
Well, it's just like, I mean, the worst part is, we'll get in the on-the-field stuff a little bit, but I think we started the show off this way. We were debating to start on the field or kind of what happened off the field. What happened on the field, you can't control football. Football's a crazy sport, but everything FAU could have done to impress that was in their control yesterday, F-. I mean, yesterday could not have gone worse for FAU. I've been complaining. I sit in the Hyundai deck. I've got up 3 times to get a beer, and 3 times I just walk back to my seat saying, I'm going to miss too much of the game. I'm trying to hand the school money. I didn't see a guy holding a beer cooler until near the 4th quarter. The Hyundai deck bar has been a disaster. You have not enough bartenders. It's a concession stand. It's not a bar. You have lines of people, and I'm sorry, you have a bunch of 65-year-old ladies going back there, and someone goes up and says, I need 2 Miller Lights, a vodka soda, and a gin tonic, and they go, okay, and they turn around and make it slowly and do it, and wait for a computer to open up, and then ring it up, and then they get a customer done in 3 minutes. Meanwhile, there's 37 people standing behind them. It's fix it. I don't get it anymore. I mean, I heard I got there super early, but I heard the parking situation was a disaster as well. Again, like we said, this is Brian Wright's first time he's kind of had this happen under him. It stinks because in the end, FU lost a lot of customers yesterday. I had people tell me they wouldn't go back to this. You have a lot of UCF alumni that were there, and a lot of them live in South Florida. They might want to catch a college football game, when UCF's not playing, or at least they talk to people. And I mean, we're just talking basic customer service, like if you owned a restaurant, right? And just providing good service. Again, the on-the-field stuff is out of your control, but if you at least would have had people walk away and said, hey, I had a great time, the city was easy to get in and out of. If FAU's doing well, I'll go catch them when they play Marshall 1 week. And, when do we have this opportunity again? I mean, the worst part is And I thought it was great that they released a statement today. It's almost the last two leaders, they didn't recognize the problem as quickly. I think you can thank Twitter for that and some UCF fans making threads and being loud on it. But so hopefully they address these problems. But I think the tough part with FAU, and I think kind of some of these issues come from, they don't get a lot of practice at it. There's going to be 10,000 people at Wagner. So if they come in and let's just say it's a parking situation and they may even bring in a game day parking expert or flow of traffic people or meet with the city on how to improve it, they're going to retool some things and they won't know if it'll work for another 2 years. So it's hard to go back to the drawing board, when you don't get an opportunity about these things. I don't know. It's just, we're trying to grow a fan base and build customers, but when you have people on Twitter showing that you run out of water bottles and nobody can get a beer, they're trying to spend hundreds of dollars in your stadium. It's just
another thing. So the metal detectors getting in, and I know that this has been a problem again since the beginning. Ian Hest, he's not really an FAU fan, he's a local sports reporter, works for WPTV, I think, or I can't remember. But somebody tweeted about that, and he said that is FAU's thing. That happens every single time. So yeah, the metal detectors, that's nothing new. That should have been taken care of. But the concessions, I mean, you knew there was going to be a lot of people. It's South Florida in freaking September. It's hot. Even at night, it's hot. So I tweeted that I missed half the first quarter waiting in line to go through the metal detector, and I missed half of the second quarter waiting for a bottle of water. There just wasn't. There was one. I walked by several concession stands where there was one, maybe two people working in the concession stand, and like Shane said, it's the person who is getting the drink or making the drink is the one that's ringing you up. And there's one of them doing that. And there's a bunch of the concession stands at FAU. They have 3 bays, like 3 windows. There was multiple of them that had either only one window working or there was 2 at most, and there were 3 or 4 people in there. I mean, it was just, again, there's no.
This is on Chartwell's. Bye. I'm done. It's got to change. They need to make and I think, and I understand the problem was addressed publicly today with the statement. Yeah. But before the next home game, I want the plan to be public. This is what we're changing. Right. This is why it's going to change. We brought in this new company. We brought in a guy who's run 9 Super Bowls in concessions and run stadiums before, and he's going to change our offer. They need to be public about this.
Yeah, because
I just don't want to hear next summer during the coaches show, oh, we improved some things. There'll be another 80. We're going to throw one more 80-year-old lady behind the Hyundai Dex bar, and she'll be able to sling out 2 more vodka sodas an hour.
Well, another thing about the entrance and I never really thought about this, but is the stadium capable of holding events like that? If you think about it, there are 3 entrances to the stadium. There's going to be 30,000 people, and you could say, oh, well, okay, we'll get there early. That's fine. Not many people are going to get into the stadium more than an hour early. The vast majority of your audience is going to get there 45 minutes to 15 minutes before the game starts. So that you're talking about 20,000 people that are going to have to get through 3 entrances. I don't know what the answer is there. I mean, I know there's some gates that could potentially be opened, not actual gates, but maybe they could turn them into entrances. Maybe that there just needs to be something needs to be done. And I think that's what really Shane and I are. I mean, Jack hasn't said much. Maybe he's reserving all his thoughts for the actual game talk. But I think that's, as Shane mentioned, we lost customers, right? There were so many people that had a negative experience that, it's gonna be the same thing. That if we ever want to get out of well, what do you expect? That's FAU. Things like last night had to be different, and that is why I'm honestly as impassioned as I think I've ever been, even more than losing it to Charlie Partridge, maybe not that much, but I just like it's yesterday was one of FAU's greatest opportunities to take the next step, even if you don't win on the field. And we'll talk about that in a minute, what went on in the field. And it was just disappointing. I think most of the people, the diehard fans, most of them, I think, are disappointed by that.
So it definitely is disappointing to see how the game day experience went. I feel like there was just a lack of communication from, I don't want to say the top down, but with all the agencies involved, whether it's Chartwells, whether it's the security team, whether it's the sheriff's office, whatever. I came in through East University Boulevard. That's going to be the second entrance from 95 on Glades. I go up towards 8th Avenue, so that's going to be just east of IVA, if you guys are familiar. But by the time I hit Henderson School, we're in gridlock for 20 minutes, just trying to move one car at a time. We finally get to where IVA and PBSC meet 8th Avenue. And we say, hey, we're going to go left because we're just going to drop some people off. The sheriff, a Palm Beach County sheriff, said, do you have an orange pass? No, we're just being dropped off. Okay, well, you got to keep going down this road, turn left on FAU Boulevard. You can't turn left on FAU Boulevard from 8th Avenue. You can't do it. You have to go continue on FAU Boulevard and try to make a U-turn somewhere by Tech Runway, but there's going to be cones set up blocking you from making a U-turn.
Right.
It's just, and it's little things like that. I go into the game, and I go into the stadium about an hour and a half before kickoff to get set up in the press box. When I'm doing that, there is already a massive line at Gate 5, which is used for the students. When I'm going into the media entrance, which is near Gate 6, which, by the way, anyone hardly ever uses that, Alfan.
Where is Gate 6?
Gate 6 is going to be on the northwest side of the stadium.
So where the coaches and stuff come through, the team walks through that gate.
There's a roundabout there.
Roundabout,
right? Yeah, and Hyundai Deck could come through that. The problem is my seats are kind of right by that. I sit in section 208. My seats are right by that section, and it's where they block off people who are the next section over, which are not Hyundai Deck.
Right.
And this is the problem I hear about the Acura Club and Hyundai Deck is a lot of people just get into places that people were sitting by me that don't have Hyundai Deck tickets. So I know last year they tried a wristband system, and I didn't complain about that, but some people complained, we have to go in a line and they have to scan a ticket, then get a wristband, and some people complained about that, so there wasn't a wristband this year. I don't know what the solutions are. I'm not a game days operation manager. No. What I will say is, like I said, my biggest complaint is just the Hyundai Deck bar. You're trying to make money. You're trying to sell, you have the stadium so you could sell as many drinks and concessions as possible. That's all money going to the school and back to the program. And you can't do it. It's like a restaurant. They can't turn over tables. You're going to make less money. Let's get John Taffer in there.
The guy from Bar Rescue?
Yeah. Full stress test on the Hyundai Deck. You have, a retirement community out there trying to sling drinks at a football game. I don't know. I know we've kind of just ranted about this, but as people as passionate fans, it's you want to see. I know I texted someone I knew in athletics last night, and I'm like, hey, how much I love this program, but it was a disaster full through last night. And I'm just telling you this because I love FAU, and I don't want to see it fail like this anymore.
So it is failing. It's failing the student ticket holders. It's failing the away fans. It's failing the students. Because when I was walking in through Gate 6, the students were already lined up all the way, to that road outside of Gate 5 towards Lot 5 where the student tailgate is. The line is already massive, an hour and a half before kickoff. And when I'm going in through the Gate 6 security, about 75 to 100 students walk up to Gate 6. All of them are saying that people at Gate 5 told us to come here because whatever reason. Because it's not my first time, all these freshmen are just doing what they're told to do. I'm feeling, they're already overwhelmed at Gate 5. They're telling them to come over to Gate 6 to get some relief. I go in, these 75 students are just waiting out there in the hot sun, while the security people are just saying, no students, you have to go over here. And I start saying, hey, guys, talk to gate 5. They're clearly overwhelmed. They're telling everyone, 75 students aren't going to make up the same thing at the same time. That's not how it works.
Right.
He's saying, please go to gate 6. We're overwhelmed. Just take them. No rules. No, you can't break the rules. That's the rules. You have to go to gate 5. I said, let me get your supervisor. We have to get this taken care of. Oh, I'm right here. I'm the supervisor for the security team. We can't do students through gate 6. And at that point, I was just over it. It's like, you cannot be serious. You're just going to say, oh, that's the rules. That's what I was told to do. Instead of maybe just going to the next level up, whoever hired them. I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure Brian delegates this to someone saying, hey, this is going to be the security team, contacting them saying, would this be okay if we let some students in here? But they just say, no.
What needs to happen is just, you got to understand the security company, people working for it, they don't care if people miss the first quarter. They just want to do what their job is told.
Right.
It doesn't matter to them. They just do what they're told. You know, I walked past that main gate where all the UCF fans were having issues, and I walked past and I saw 2 metal detectors out. And this was an hour before the game because I knew better. And I said, they are going to have an issue there. They had 3 metal detectors, and they weren't letting people, they don't care. But there needs to be a couple FAU operations people at every gate.
Right.
So when things start to go a little haywire, they can be like, hey, you're hired by us. I'm changing the rules right now. Just let them through, or just do this, or calling it off. You know, like. I mean,
if you think about it's a safety aspect of thing, there was that many people in that small of an area for that long is also a safety risk. I mean, I think, you know, you care about safety. The part of being safe is getting people through quickly. Like with the metal detectors that I went through, again, I went by the student side. When I got to the front of the line, the metal detector that people were going through was like working every 5th or 6th student. Like it was flashing red. And then because I was so fed up at the time, I just went through. It beeped when I went through it, and the lady just waved me on. And they had one guy with a wand who, like, every 13th student would be like, "Oh, hey, can you show me your hat?" I mean, like, if you're not going to use them for their purpose, why are they there? I mean, again, I get security, and I think all of us, none of us want security to be lax or anything like that. But it's just. Enough is enough. I mean, I don't know what else you can do, but it's just like, besides hiring 100 more people, you know, I don't know if FAU was budget strapped for this. I think I saw on Twitter that this was a test to see like what FAU could get, what like the minimum amount that they could work with or something like that, and it just I don't know. It's just, you know, I know Brian Wright's probably listening to this, and I hope he I hope he hears us. And for those that haven't read it, I mean, if you just go on Twitter and look for it, he said all of the right things, but he should not have had to say those things as an apology and, you know, whatever he said.
Well, the last 2 ADs didn't get this stuff fixed, so I'm fully willing to give this. And this leadership has shown a lot more. Like, go get it type attitude. Yeah. So I expect them to fix this. So this problem's new for them. It's not new for us and most of our fans listening right now.
Yeah.
Been through this with everything. This is why we're probably even more frustrated than some of them they are, you know. But yeah, you know, we've hammered this enough. Let's move to the other debacle of the night. And that was on the field. I guess I'll just start and.
Yeah, go ahead.
And I put just so much thought into this today and just absolutely racking my brain over it. And I think there's a few things I pulled from tonight, and we'll kind of go off the last one. I think there's an element of, okay, we lost a really good team. When they decided they started Dylan Gabriel, I was more concerned because I thought a lot of it was like, maybe they'll go with Wimbush, and I thought that was, and I knew they were going with the better quarterback. The most telling stat, and I said this on the podcast last week, you know, for those of you like on Twitter that like to criticize me whenever I get something wrong, I said, you know, I think the defense has enough stops, but I don't know who makes plays for us. Who's our big strike guy? Who's going to do that? And I was hoping a white knight would come riding in and someone would emerge. but it didn't happen. After we gave up the first 2 touchdowns, the second on another broken coverage.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that. We stopped UCF 4 drives in a row, 3 of them being 3 and outs. Okay, so they went punt, 3 and out, missed field goal, and then back-to-back 3 and outs, or there was the missed one in the show. And we had good field position in some of those. I think Jack was impressed. We had ample opportunities late in that first quarter and early in that second quarter to put 10 points on the board. We missed a field goal to put 10 points on the board, put a touchdown on the board. And then all of a sudden, maybe we're in that game mid-second quarter, and it's a 10-14 ball game, and then the feel's a little bit different, 14-14. Right. The crowd's into it. And I think the second half, the defense just got tired, kind of, and then that's when the big play started raining. The most telling stat for me was, and again, I said that we can't nickel and dime our way down the field. We need some big plays. UCF averaged 32 yards of completion. 32. Dylan Gabriel had 7 completions. 32.
They didn't have very many completions.
Yeah, we had under 9 yards. So it just showed you that, Dylan Gabriel is getting more bang for his buck. Some people were criticizing Chris Robinson today. Man, there was nothing he could have done. I mean, he was scrambling and fighting and looking for guys open, and I'm at an angle, and there's just no one coming open, and he was doing everything he can. The O-line's a concern, right tackle, and I thought it was really interesting, and Lane called out B.J. Etienne directly on his presser this afternoon, who's a guy I talked about. I said, I thought he was going to step up. This is a guy who's a second-year starter now. He was a redshirt freshman last year. He's entering his redshirt sophomore year. This was supposed to be that big year. He starts to become a dominant player, and he struggled. The right tackles, you have 2, young players. I mean, it's just – and we'll talk about why some of those, and I posted it today. We have those issues.
Yeah, I think for me, what I was really going to, I guess, harp on is everything. Everything was systemic of the offensive line. I think that there were a couple plays that Robinson, missed a receiver here and made the wrong decision there. But for the most part, he's not. And maybe he's playing a little bit too conservatively, but that's maybe because what the coaches want him to do, where he's not making any dangerous throws. And honestly, yesterday there really wasn't much open, or he didn't have time. He did an amazing job of escaping the pocket.
So he avoided
sacked
6 other sacks.
Yeah, I mean he did an amazing job there. So for me, as far as on the field disappointments, O-line was definitely the biggest thing. Just had no chance for anything to develop. And that was frustrating. So it's tough to gauge Robinson's performance. And again, we all saw fall camp, and we saw the scrimmages, and we saw who really, I consistently see people ask for the backup, and the backup quarterback is always the most popular player on a team, right? But I think for us that have seen it, Robinson's still right now, unless things were to change, but he is the better of the quarterbacks that we have. Not that maybe the others shouldn't get a look, but maybe in a certain package. But I'm not gonna say Robinson was the problem. For me, the problem was the O-line, and there really wasn't any opportunity there.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. The O-line. Man, it was in shambles. There's no nice way to put it. UCF ran stunts all night long, and it seemed like we have never seen a stunt in the entire time of FAU football history. Too many D linemen went through completely untouched at Chris. As soon as he has the snap, he already has a defender in his face. It reminded me of David Cooey in 2011. But at least David Cooey, he would run just because he wanted to within a second. At least with Chris, there was someone in his face. He had to buy some time. He did a good job of buying time. We saw that a lot of his passes were inaccurate when he was forced to roll, forced to scramble, buy some more time. Another issue is we just don't have a deep threat right now. It's something that we've been talking about for the last month and a half. We don't know who can catch a deep ball right now, especially against really talented defensive backs that UCF have.
And I think because the offensive line was so bad, we really didn't have the opportunity for a deep threat. I think Willie Wright was the one target that I think he dropped. That I was wondering if he was still on the team actually.
Yeah, I mean, you see Dante Kosar coming in to play the slot a lot, but we try to fake a jet sweep to him, and no one was buying it for a second. It's tough to see. It could help if the running back situation wasn't so – what's the word I'm looking here for, guys? Volatile, I guess. It's tough because our number one running back right now is an 18-year-old from Hoover, Alabama, Larry McMahon, and that's tough. Malcolm Davidson looked good, but he got hurt. James Charles, okay, that's all I'm going to say about that. And then the defense, I just started to feel bad for them because for the entire first quarter, it just seemed like the offense kept going three and out.
This is where I'm going to challenge the defense a little bit, and I think they got a little tired and stuff in that game. But there's also an element where the guys that are supposed to be making plays, the guys we came into the year and said, okay, we have faith in, you didn't make plays. The first drive, you let 2 penalties extended with dumb stuff, right? And then there's also just a play where James Pierre, who I've touted on here as being one of the best corners in the conference, you got totally mossed on a deep ball.
Mm-hmm.
You got totally just, you got to win your individual battles sometimes in football. And we can talk coaching and staff and like techniques and all that stuff and play calling, but it doesn't matter when you're running up the sideline and the guy just beats you. Like, you're supposed to be an all-conference performer, or you're a guy that's, talking about who could leave for the draft after this year, and no one's made a play. I don't know what's more concerning in the first 2 weeks, and we forced a couple turnovers on fumbles, but we don't have a single sack from a defensive lineman or a single pick from a DB. Both sacks are by Akias Leroy, the linebacker. Now, we only are D-line, but Tim Bonner, Noah Jefferson, somebody make a play is kind of what I'm,
As a reminder, Shane, Kiki actually was banged up in the touchdown run that Gabriel had. And truth be told, guys, I couldn't even tell you if he came back. I really cannot remember. But he did have, I want to say, the only sack on Saturday.
You talk about the run late in the game? Because he was out, and then Jose Barnwell came in for a while, and I did see Kiki back in the game. So if you're talking second quarter?
Late. It was late third quarters when Gabriel ran. They're going north towards the old student section. And it looks like he might even stiff-armed him or something of the sort and ran to the corner of the end zone, practically untouched. So, hey, let me just say props to UCF, props to their fans, props to the team. I can't even get a tweet off without their offense doing something. I thought they played faster. It's a joke.
I want to point out kind of, and I know, and there's just something that I kind of felt today. And first of all, I think it's stupid. Anyone who says it's bad coaching staff, fire Lane, you're it. Like, go away. Name someone better, okay? You're talking G5 college football.
We just gave him a 10-year contract. He's not going anywhere.
Yeah, also. But I will say this. Last night was the first night that I felt the whole, like, we're just happy to have you here, Lane, attitude wore off.
Yeah.
On this press conference. He apologized to the fans. And I think starting after yesterday, he's starting to get, in my eyes, evaluated like a regular coach. He had the winning season. It's all fun, Lane train, tweet. And after yesterday, we've kind of moved into a different realm, I think. Moving, and like I pointed out today, some people have gotten on me for not criticizing the coaching staff enough. Well, what positions did we just talk about? And I posted this on the forum today we're struggling at. Well, Lane said B.J. Etnian, guard, struggling. Nick Weber's a walk-on freshman on the other side, struggling at receiver. I they took a lot of chances on guys. Nero Nelson, Deshaun Holmes, Kyle Davis, DeAndre McNeil's on the team, transferred, the JUCO guy.
Yeah.
Levante Epson, this class, guard, came here for spring, transferred already. Zach Bennett from last year, supposed to be the #1 center, could play guard combo, didn't play it down last year, transferred.
Yeah.
So you took chances on kids, especially. I've never been a big fan of JUCO recruiting because this is a lot of a product what you get.
Yeah.
And, I look at Calvin Ashley. I mean, we're talking about these problems. I'm just like, what if last night you have Calvin Ashley at right tackle, maybe Levante Epson at right guard, Nick Weber's at left guard, and you have Kyle Davis and Nero Nelson at receiver. Maybe we score 21 points. Maybe it's a different game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there's really, I don't know. I'm not going to say it. I get what they're trying to do. Lane probably said, I'm coming, from Alabama. I want to get a different level of talented player in this program. And he took some chances, and they didn't pay off. And now we're paying for missing on those JUCO kids, and you see the holes in the roster. We didn't see it because we had a lot of Charlie's guys that were older. Now that they left, Lane's early recruiting misses are starting to rear their head. Yeah.
And I think that's, you're right. And one of the things that, and we'll kind of each give our last point here, but you make a good point about, holding the coaches accountable. One of the things that popped into my head about the offense, and again, we know that there's problems in the offense, and the best coaches can coach their way around it to something. I'm not saying that we were going to put up enough points to compete with UCF, but to be stuck with our points in the first half were 2 45-yard field goals. Like, that was the closest that we could get to the end zone. Like, so I think there is something in this that, okay, well, let's, what is the coaching staff going to do moving forward? And all right, now the competition will potentially come down a bit to our level. There'll still be glaring holes there. But what is the coaching staff going to do that's going to try to fix the problems that we have with the personnel that we have? And so, like, that's kind of will be my last.
Like, there was plays to be made. Pico Harrison dropped a ball in the corner of the end zone on a real nice throw. It's just, we'll see with Ball State. My big concern is, Owl fans, is if we don't have playmakers, these dynamic guys to put games away, the next 10 games, they're all going to be close.
Mm-hmm.
You can't put games away no matter how bad the team you're facing across the way is, whether it's FIU is a dumpster fire right now in Western Kentucky. If you're always in a close game, you know how those go. We did it in the Charlie Partridge era. It just comes down to college kickers and field goals and penalties, and it's you're just playing with the odds at that point if you can't put teams away and make dynamic plays. So it's we'll see. Ball State, I hate this game. We opened as we're 1-point favorites.
1-point favorites, yeah.
I mean,
we'll see where that goes.
I mean, this is.
We're just still waiting for that landmark victory, even if it's blowing out a MAC opponent on the road again. Right now, I'll take it. If there's any solace right now, it is that FIU is a dumpster fire. They were expected to, beat Tulane and blow Western out of the water, which is very far away from FIU because they're not close to the beach at all. And, even though James Morgan went out for a little bit, FIU lost. And they didn't look good one bit. I mean, it could be worse. It could be USF right now, who just lost their 8th straight. And now their quarterback might not even be starting from here on out because he played like hot garbage. So, honestly, if it wasn't for those two situations, I think we'd probably be in – well, actually, I'd put Florida State in there. The whole state's a dumpster fire right now except for UCF because I'm not even sold on UF right now. So, let's just maybe be thankful about that. Going into Muncie, Indiana, we'll talk about it. We'll talk about our chances.
Yeah, so we'll kind of wrap up here. One thing, We're going to try to start doing 2 shows a week, depending on how things go, depending on how our schedules go. But ideally, we would like to have 2 shows a week. So this one, we really broke down UCF and really broke down the stadium situation. We probably went a little bit longer than we normally would. We're not going to go over Ball State this episode. This is just the recap of UCF, and we'll go over Ball State later on in the week. So keep an eye out for that. Do you guys have anything else you'd like to add before we wrap up?
Hang in there, all fans.
Hang in there. Yeah, I think
we've been doing it for a decade. I mean, at this point,
there's nothing new.
We're already attached. We might as well just keep on going.
Yeah, I was saying it too. I'll say it, on the, Walty, who posts on the forum, and I talk with him, and he sits by me, and I'm like, hey man, we've done this for so long. It's it's tough, man. It's I was talking with Eric Henry, who I do the other podcast, who writes for SB Nation, covers FIU, and went to UCF, and he's like, he's talking about kind of going through these growing pains with UCF. And he was even telling me a year after they won the Fiesta Bowl at Bortles, there was a game, and he took a picture, and the stadium was 1/3 full. A year after they won to beat that game, and you see how much their fan base, you saw what their fan base was last night, and just how much it can grow. So,
yeah, I mean, and UCF has been bad longer than they've been good.
Yeah.
Don't tell that to a UCF fan now, though, because
but it's just, their program's growing like wildfire. So it's just, our day will come.
Yeah, we just gotta. We'll be here. We'll be here for that. So,
the 3 of us will be here for it. Yeah.
So as usual, check us out, faulss.com. Check us out on Instagram, on Twitter, and Spotify, iTunes, Google Podcasts, wherever you would like your favorite podcast to be listened to. Check us out there, and we thank you guys for joining us with the ride. And we will talk to you later this week going over Ball State. So we'll see you then. Go Owls.